All right, trigger warnings and safe spaces. Let's get right into it. Being a college student, there are many experiences that you can encounter throughout the 4 year span, some positive and some negative. Depending on your prior experience, it can have an effect on how you view certain material, whether that's through the media or through your education or life in general. Safe spaces and the use of trigger warnings has been a main focus for me this semester, and I argue that the need for safe spaces is essential for a college environment and to optimize the success of each student on a college campus. The three main things that I'd like to point out throughout the remainder of this speech would be: first, I like to point out how trigger warnings and safe spaces affect students while in a learning environment. Second, I'd like to touch on how safe spaces improve self-knowledge and how learning from others can apply to yourself and how you can kind of use that in your future for future reference. Lastly, I would like to share my thoughts on how safe spaces impact students in more ways than just academic success. So this brings me to my first point. Trigger warnings have been known to activate things such as PTSD, anxiety, and frustration. For people that deal with them, they're the three main emotions that people will feel when they get triggered. For example, if sexual violence is being talked about in a class, that person or persons who are in the class that may have experienced that same situation may need to leave the room, take a break, kind of clear their mental a little bit, and then come back. Going to a safe space and just breathing or even talking to someone about it can shift their mind off the topic. For situations that arise like this, it can become a problem for students, but if there was an option for safe spaces on campus, it could bring some reassurance and comfortability to a student's mind. Now, although the majority of students may not share the same experience or benefit from a safe space, like some may, it's important for students to understand that not everyone's life is perfect. And this leads me to my second point here. By addressing the need for safe spaces on campus, it will help with dealing with the distractions that come with trigger warnings and will help students gain a better understanding of themselves. Learning to deal with trigger warnings can take some time to get used to. With the usage of safe spaces on campus, it can help students figure themselves out when they get triggered and ultimately better their relationship with the topics that they may struggle with. Topics such as sexual violence, child abuse, suicide, or any gruesome scenes that can trigger a PTSD moment would be categorized as a trigger warning. By figuring themselves out and seeing what works best to kind of calm them down and get their mind right, or to stop thinking about that specific trigger warning, is half the solution right there. By figuring out what works best for yourself, it allows you to go about things your way and give you a clearer picture on how to recover after a trigger warning. And this brings me to my final point. While some campuses have incorporated safe spaces into their buildings already, it shows that a college cares for its students and the success they strive for in the classroom. Providing a solution for students who face trigger warnings can be tricky, but everyone is different. By grouping like-minded individuals together, or people who have trigger warnings with the other people who have trigger warnings, it can create, in my belief, an even safer space and make students feel like they're not the only ones going through something. By implementing a safe space group, it not only provides a solution for students to be more successful, but to learn from other people's experiences, or maybe some have had shared experience or something brand new that students can take in and learn from and apply when they may feel triggered at another time in the future. So now I'd like to review kind of what we had just gone over throughout this speech. First, we discussed how trigger warnings and safe spaces affect students while in a learning environment. Second, how safe spaces improve a little self-knowledge and how learning from others can apply to yourself. And lastly, my thoughts on how safe spaces impact students in more ways than just academic success, as well as learning from everyone that may have some shared experiences with them. I hope to have covered most areas throughout this speech and have shown that safe spaces can be effective and help benefit success for all students, no matter the background they come from. And now I'll leave you with a quote from Sidney J. Harris. The whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. By reflecting on yourself and understanding how you operate as a person can make way for a clearer view in life. Now, the initial quote was just the whole purpose of education is turn mirrors into windows. The second part was just me, but it sounded pretty good still. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day.